Welcome back to the course on digital logic and computer architecture. Okay, today we are going to see about the instruction set, its characteristics and function. So what we have discussed when we have discussed about the program execution, we said that program is nothing but a set of instruction and every instruction we have to perform some tasks. Okay. Now today we are going to see how we are going to design an instruction set for a processors and what are the issues that will come up when we are going to look for a designing of instruction set. So what is an instruction set? Basically I am saying that the complete collection of instruction data understood by the CPU. So it is a complete collection of instruction and together bringing together all the instruction, we say this is the instruction set, and every instruction is designed or made for a specific purpose. Okay, and how we are going to identify it? By the machine code of the instruction. So machine code of instruction is nothing but a binary representation or a binary code, because you know that computer is nothing but an electronics device. It works on electronic signals. These signals will be either high or low. Okay. And high is represented by 1 for our understanding and low is represented by 0 in our understanding. So we are basically representing with binary signals, either 0 or 1, or voltage high or voltage low. So combining all those particular signals, we say this is a machine code or binary code of the machine. So every machine code is made for specific purpose, and generally for our understanding we are going to represent this particular instruction code or machine code with the help of assembly code so that we can understand it or we can visualize it. So in our last class when I discuss about or we are showing how the computer executes a program, then we said it is having fetch, then execute, and like that. Okay, so in our last class, what we have seen, we have just seen a program where we are going to add two numbers, say y is equal to y plus x. Now, and to perform this particular task, we have seen that we need three instructions. Okay. So what basically it does, we are storing these two information in memory location 940 and 941. These are in hexadecimal. Okay. So load the accumulator. So accumulator is a registers, okay, which is connected to the ALU, and one of the operands always come from the accumulator. So we have some idea about the internal structure of that particular processor also. I have explained it. So we need these three instructions. First we lead the first we load the contents or first operand from memory location 940. Then we are going to take the operand from 941 from memory location 941 and going to add it to the contents of accumulator, and the result will be again stored back in the accumulator. Finally, the value of accumulator will be stored to memory location 941. This is stored accumulator. So for our understanding, we say load accumulator, add and store accumulator. When I am going to have the machine code, I am going to look into the binary representation, then we will find that 1940 is the total information that we have to put or we have to give. 940 is the address location and 1 is basically we say this is the operation code or op code. Okay, so with 1 it indicates that we have to load something from memory location 940 and bringing it to the processor, and we are going to put it into the accumulator. So this is whatever I am writing 1940, it is in hexadecimal. So we can have the binary equivalent for that. So finally in our machine we are going to have this type of signals. 0 means low voltage, 1 means high voltage, and we are representing with the help of this particular bit pattern. So this is the first instruction, second instruction and third instruction. So we said this is the machine code or machine level program, this is the assembly code or assembly level program, and this is the high level program that the way you used to write in high level language called C and other things. Okay. Now we are talking about your instruction set. Now, in this particular example, what will happen? We have used this particular hexadecimal digit to represent the instruction, and other three digits are representing the address of the operands. Okay. So, in this particular case, so this opcode size is 4 bit. Okay, so we are having 4 bits. So with the help of 4 bits, how many instructions we can design? You know, it is very simple. Now you are accustomed with this. This is to the 4 is equal to 16. Because with 4 bits, we are having 16 different unique representation. So I can say these are the opcodes. Say what I am saying, say this is the 16 different opcodes which start from 0 to 15. So all 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0 like that up to all 1. Okay. Now for in most of the processor is having this operation also. It is called no operation. So basically we are doing nothing when I am going to have this particular NOP operation. So 0 is assigned to this particular NOP operation. Okay. So when opcode will come as 0, then we'll say basically we are doing nothing. Now we have to go to the next instruction. And already we might have seen that in our previous slide, or if we are going to work with the same example, then we will find that 1 is basically nothing but load accumulators, 2 is nothing but store accumulator, and 5 is add-m. These are the 3 instructions already we have designed or we have used, and I said that these are the opcode already used. So that cannot be used to design any other instruction. Okay, every instruction set have a unique code. Now along with that, we must have one instruction called halt. It will say that this is the end of the program. And say I am giving opcode as 111. So why halt is required? Now say when you are going to execute a program, it will fetch the instruction from memory, then it will execute it. After execution, we are during execution or during fetch, we are updating the values of the program counter. So after completion of the first instruction, it is going to bring the second instruction from memory. After completion of the second instruction, it will go to the third instruction. Like that, it will just keep on fetching the data from the memory, and we are going to interpret it according to our design, and it will keep on going. So we have to indicate that you have to stop somewhere. This is the end of my program. So in my program, I have to give this indication, and to give it, what will happen? I have to have an instruction, and I said that this instruction is halt instruction. When processor encounter this halt instruction, it stop over there. Okay. Now in this particular small organization, already we have seen that, or you might have remembered that this I am having this particular ALU. Okay, I am just redrawing it. So output of ALU is given to this register. One of the input is coming from this particular accumulator register, and we are having this particular bus bar. Okay, we have that internal bus. Okay, so second input is directly connected to this particular bus bar. Okay, so this is the way we are going to visualize it, and I said this is the way we are going to have it, and the result will be again transferred to bus bar and going to the appropriate position. So this is the scenario. Now in this particular case, it is an accumulator based processor. We are having a register called general purpose register called accumulators, and this accumulators is going to keep one of the operand, and we are going to have this operand. So somehow it should be CPU, and consider this particular CPU has 3 GPRs, general purpose register, one is accumulator, and two other general purpose registers are R0 and R1. Now depending on this particular component, and we know that this is connected something like that this way. So I am having this general purpose register R0 and R1. They are also connected to this particular bus bar, so that we can transfer the information from register R0 to say accumulator, or maybe transfer the information from register R0 to some memory location. So these are the provisions that we should have. to work with this particular processor, now we have to design our instruction set. Now already we said that we are having these three instructions: load them, store them, and add them. Now we can design another 13 instruction. Out of that, 0 and 1 is already consumed, 1 is no operation and 1 is halt. So 5 operation I have designed. Now we can go for another 11 operation. Okay, now what are the operations that I have designed? So for simplicity, just I said that I am designing one instruction called DEC accumulator. This is basically, again here I am having some mistake. D is nothing but decrement instruction, so it decrement the values of the accumulator by 1. Similarly, INC, this is the increment operators. With increment, it is going to increment the values of this register accumulator. Okay, so these are two instructions. Then we have design one instruction along with add them. It is basically a accumulator and plus the contents of a memory location identified this particular address. They will add together and put it in the accumulator. Now we are designing add R0 and add R1. So it is what we are doing: accumulator plus R0 and store the result in accumulator. Accumulator plus R1 store the result in accumulator. Okay. Like that we are having now, these are the 4 move instruction. This is the data movement inside the processor. Move R0 AC, it is going to transfer the data from accumulator to the R0, then accumulator to R1. Similarly in the reverse way, from R0 to accumulator and R1 to accumulator. Okay. So like it, I am having 3 instruction for addition. Similarly, we are defining 3 instruction for subtraction. Okay, so this is the things that we are doing, and now you can say that we have used all the 16 opcode, 16 available combination of 4-bit, and this is the instruction set of this particular machine, and we know the meaning of each and every instruction or each and every opcode, operation code. Now as a designer, now we have to design the processor in such a way that you are going to get the desired result according to the instruction. Okay, this is the objective, or these are the things that we are going to discuss when we are going to discuss about the processor design. Okay, so while going to the design of processor, we have to have 2 things in our hand. One is the instruction set and meaning and tasks performed by each and every instruction, and secondly we have some idea, or we have to make a plan how we are going to connect the component of the processor. So this is one of the possible connection. We said this is the organization. So ALU is connected through this particular bus bar. All the inputs, similarly all the registers will be connected through this internal CPU bus, which is basically the interconnection within the processor. Okay, so this is the way that we have to look into it. Now you just see that I am just considering here 4-bit instruction code, and we are going to have total 16 operations. Now you just think that you are going to design a processor having the size of IR as your 8 bits. All 8 bits are going to represent one unique operation. Okay, in that particular case, total number of instruction will be your 2 to the power 8, which is equal to 256. That means you are going to design 256 different operations. So if possible, we are going to, we'll see one real life processor, very simple processor, and we are going to look into it how the designers has come up or design those particular instructions. Okay, now this is in nutshell. I am saying that when we are going to talk about the instruction set, you have to see what are the possible operations that we can perform, or as a designer, now you have to design those particular instruction and finally you have to implement it. Okay, now here again I am coming back to this particular operation. So I am having this particular 4 opcode 8, 9, 10, 11, and these 4 opcodes are designed to perform this particular movement operation. That means I am having register accumulator and register R0 and R1. So what are the operations that we are performing over here? Either we can transfer the information between R0 and accumulator, or we can transfer the information between accumulator and R1. So these are the 4 operations that we can perform. Now by looking into the operation, now you see that what we have basically, we are having this particular 16-bit information. This 4-bit is used for opcode, and these 12 bits are basically used to provide the maybe operand itself or maybe address of the operand, because in this particular simple example we said that these remaining 12 bits are basically providing us the address of the memory location from where we are going to get our data or where we are going to store our information. But for this particular 4 move instruction, what will happen, you just see that opcode itself is very unique. By looking into the opcode part itself, we will say that contents of SU will be transferred to the register R0. So we are not required any information that is stored in this particular 12 bits. So it may be don't care in our condition. So whatever may be the value we have over here, if my opcode is your 1000, in that particular case what will happen, I can transfer the information from accumulator to R0. So these bit patterns are, or these 12 bits are not used at all. Now since I am having this particular 12 bits with me, now I can think to utilize this particular 12 bits also. So in that particular case what will happen, I can merge this particular 4 move operation with one instruction itself. I'll say that, maybe I'll say that this is when I am going to have 1000. It says that this is the instruction for move, and what are the move operation that we are going to do? Either we are going to transfer it from accumulator to R1 or R1 to accumulator. So in that particular case we can use this particular bit pattern. Maybe I can say that this is the source or this is the destination register. Okay, now since I am having 3 register RAC, R0 and R1, I can say that 00 will mean for AC, R1 will mean for 01 and R1 is 10. Maybe this is the way we can think, or for our better understanding, say 0 is 0. So we'll say that 00 is going to look for this register R0, 01 is going to have this register R1 and 11 is going to say accumulator, and we are not using the combination 10. Okay, we have not used this combination. Now here if I am going to keep this particular operation, say source is 11 and destination is 00, that means this instruction is going to perform the operation R0, accumulator, value of accumulator will be transferred to register R0. Okay, so this is the way we can look into it. So out of this particular 12 bit we have used this particular 4 bits, and still this 8 bits we are not using it. Okay, these are maybe immaterial for us. Okay, so you just see, when we are getting this particular opcode 100, then we are going to look for this particular 4 bits. Maybe these 4 bits are your S0, or I can say that this is your A0, A1, A2, A3. So list 4 bits we are going to check, and accordingly we are going to find out source and destination. Now you just see, I am now going to use only one opcode to perform this particular move operation. Then remaining this bit combination or those opcode can be used to design now some other instruction. And when I am going to have this particular form, then we are going to one more advantage, or we can now design some more instruction in this particular case. Now we can say that we can have this particular instruction also, that move the contents of R1 to R0, or maybe move the contents of R0 to R1. Okay. Due to the limitation of my opcode, initially we didn't design these two register movement operation. But if I come to this particular format, you just see that I have to just change the code of register code of source and destination, then these two operations can also be implemented in our machine. And on the other hand, we are getting these three opcode. Okay, now design can be used to design some other instructions. So by looking into those particular scenario, now we can design now more instruction. Okay, so this is the way you have to look into it. While you are going to design a new processor, you are going to design a new instruction set, then what are the instructions that we are going to put into it, and how we can optimize it. So in the first case, I have shown you that this is a very simplistic way that we can design instruction if we are going to use 4 bits to design our instruction, where we are having the provision to access the memory also. To give the address of the memory, we need more number of bits. That's why in this particular instruction format, what will happen? We have 12 bits to provide the instruction, provide the address, and 4 bits to give the operation code. Now, when we are coming to this particular register transfer operation, that transferring the information from one register to other register inside the processor, then size of the address will be very less now, because we are having a limited number of registers. So instead of 12 bit, we are using only those particular 4 bits to identify those particular registers, and we are going to use these particular unused bits, and accordingly now we can implement more number of instruction. Excuse me. Hope now you have got the idea how we are going to design an instruction set, and we have to assign the meaning of each and every instruction of the instruction set, and finally we have to identify what are the tasks that we are going to perform for those particular instructions. Because already I think in last class, when we are looking into the execution of the program, we have shown some example or giving you some idea that what are the things that we are going to do in a particular operation, and we have shown you with the help of that first instruction, we have seen what are the things that we are going to do. Similarly in move also we have seen what we did basically. So for first instruction that we talk about, this is the instruction say 0001 LDM. Okay, 0001, this is nothing but LDAM. So what basically we have, after fetching the instruction, we have the information with us. We know this is the opcode, and we are having the address part. So we have this information in IR. So basically what we have to do now, in execution phase, we have to bring the information from memory to the processor and put it into the appropriate destination. In this particular case, appropriate destination is my accumulator. So what are the steps that we need to do? Say we are having that MAR, memory address register. Okay, so we have to put the address is now memory address register, and where we have this particular address, this address is available in IR in address part. Okay, so basically this is the address part. Okay, so after fetching it, say this my instruction is available in my IR. So for this particular instruction, what we have as a opcode, we are going to get 0001. In the address part, I am having say 940. It is in hexadecimal. So this address part I am going to give to MAR. Then processor will give the signal, rich signal. That means from this particular memory location, we are going to bring the information. So when we bring the information, where it comes basically as per my these things, what we call internal organization. I know that here I am having two register called MAR and MBR, which are basically the interfacing register for this particular processor. So whatever we have in the MBR, after reading it, we got it in MBR, then we are going to transfer this information from MBR to accumulator. So to execute this particular instruction, we have this particular 3 steps. Okay, these are 3 different steps we have to perform to execute this particular instruction. Similarly, I think in our last class I have said, or we have seen how what are the tasks or what are the steps that we have to perform while we are going to do the fetch cycle. So instruction cycle is having 2 phases, fetch and execute, and for this particular instruction this is the execute phase, or these are steps we need to perform while we are going to execute this particular instruction. Prior to that, fetch will come into picture, and we know what are the steps that we have to do during the fetch. In last class, I think we have mentioned about that particular issue. Okay, so these are the way that we have to look into it. Now, what we have seen, instruction set, what are the instructions that we are going to provide. After that, what is the format of those particular instructions, we have to freeze it. According to the format, we are going to interpret the instruction, and finally have to give what are the steps that we need to perform when we are going to execute this particular instruction. That means to get the desired effect of that particular instruction. Once these things are clear to us, or we have designed it, then what will happen? Now we can move to implement those particular instruction, and we can design our processor. And in that particular case, designing of the processor basically boils down to the designing of the control unit of my processor. Okay, so now till now whatever we have discussed, from that I can say that inside the processor, the component ALU, we have seen it and we know how to design this ALU. We have seen that we are having some registers where we can store our information, and we know how a register is built. It is nothing but a combination of flip-flops. We are going to put flip-flops. It is a 8-bit register. That means we have to put 8 flip-flops together, and we are going to put them together and going to work with all those particular flip-flops, and we said this is a register. Again, we have to discuss about the universal registers where we can have the parallel load option, shift right, shift left. Okay, so these are the options that we can put in our register also. Okay. Now after that, what will happen? To perform those particular tasks in this proper sequence, and to maintain this sequence and to maintain the ordering, we have to design our control unit. So basic task remaining is that how to design the control unit and what are the issues that we have to take care while designing the control unit. We will discuss the design of control unit later on. Okay, today we are just going to talk about the instruction set or designing of the instruction set. Okay, now what are the elements of instruction? Now we are having an idea about this. We say that this is the first component is your operation code, or we say it is opcode. Basically it indicates do this. Okay, do this particular operation. Then we are having the source operand reference. It may be one or it may be more. So depending on my format of the instruction. That means opcode do this on what, to this data. Okay. And result operand reference. Put the answer here. Now after performing the operation, we are going to get some result. Then we are going to have a result operand reference. We say put the answer in this particular place. And for all instruction, what will happen? We are having the next instruction reference, because we said that in main memory I have this particular program. Okay, in memory location we are putting my program like that. So this is my program. Okay, if this is my first instruction, after completion of first instruction we have to go to the second instruction. Then we have to keep this reference also. When you have done that, do this. So this is your next instruction reference. And already we have seen that in many cases while we are designing our instruction, then it is implicit. Basically, in general, we say that if I am bringing this particular instruction, say memory location mi, then next memory location instruction will be available in say mi plus 1. Okay, this is the way we can visualize it. And if I go back to the design of this phase cycle, already we have mentioned that during phase cycle itself, we are going to update the value of the program counter so that we are having reference to the next instruction. So in a nutshell then, for our reference, I can say what are the tasks that generally we do in the fetch cycle. Okay, we are having the MAR, the instruction address of the instruction is basically available in our PC. So we are going to transfer the information from PC to the MAR. Then it will give the read signal that we are going to read the information from that particular memory location. Then what will happen? We are going to update the value of the program counter PC plus 1 why we are doing in this particular order. Later on we will discuss it. Okay, we will indicate you. So we are updating it. Then what will happen after that? The result when we are bringing it to the processor, first it will come to the MBR, memory buffer register, which is an interfacing register. So in that particular case, what I am going to do, I am going to transfer the information from MBR. Okay, we are going to transfer the information from MBR to the instruction register. That means now instruction is available in my instruction register. So once we get the instruction, now depending on the code of the instruction, it is going to perform the operation. So these are the things that we are going to do, and these are the things available in my instruction. So these are the element of instruction, and in most of the cases this is basically implicit, but we are having some instruction which is your control instruction, control transfer instruction. In that particular instruction we have to give this information also, what we have to, where from we have to bring the next instruction. Okay, we'll discuss those things when we're going to discuss about the conditional instruction. Okay, so these are the elements of instruction. Now, how we are going to represent instruction? Already said that it is nothing but a bit pattern, but for our understanding, we are going to give some mnemonics or going some code, and we say this is the assembly code like that: add, subtract, load, etc. And we can represent the operands also or operation also. So I can say that add AB. So this is the way that I can represent it, but what it does we have to see it. Okay, since I am going to add two numbers, we have to store somewhere. Maybe the meaning of this add AB may be QS something like that, A equal to A plus B. Maybe this is the way we can say. So this is the representation of our instruction. Okay, so basically we have to say what is the bit pattern for that particular instruction, and secondly what it does. So this may be the operation of tasks that we are going to perform for this particular instruction, and to identify it we must know the what is the unique bit pattern for this particular instruction. Okay, now this may be a simple format. Always we have to look for the format, then only we can interpret it properly. So say if we are designing a processor, say 16 bits, okay, one of the instruction format may be something like that. I am having the 4-bit opcode, then 6-bit operand reference for the first operand and 6-bit for the second operand reference. So all 16-bit is consumed. And if we are going to have this particular format, then what will happen? With the help of this particular 4 bits, we can design only 16 different instructions. So this is a simple instruction format we are saying. Now you have to look into this particular issue also, whether the instruction format is same for all the instruction of a machine. So while we are designing a particular processor, whether all the instructions should have the same format. In general, it is no. If you stick to a particular format, then the instruction that you will be able to design will be very limited. So in this particular case, we are having 16 bits of information, and if we combine this particular 16 bit of information, then we can design many more instructions. So in general, I can say that if I am having a 16-bit instruction, then what will happen? I can design 2 to the power 16, okay, which is equal to 65,000 something. Okay, so that many bit pattern is there. But if you fix it like that, so this 6 bit is going to the operand reference only, then in this particular case I can design only 2 to the power 4 16 different instructions. So that's why what I'm saying, that we are not going to use a single format for all the instruction. Okay, so depending on my requirement, we'll change the instruction format even. Okay, then what will happen in that particular case? We can design for more number of instructions. So in this particular case, what will happen? You will find that the way I have explained over here, in this particular case, I am not using the single format. Initially, I have come up with a single format, that 4 bits for opcodes and these 12 bits for entire address. So for memory address, I need 12 bits. But and here I can specify the address of one operand only. But when I am coming down to that register level instruction, that it is going to work with only registers. Okay. In that particular case, what will happen? Now I have slightly changed the instruction format. I keep these things, that this is the opcode itself, but this 4 bit is used to indicate source register and destination register. And of course, here these bits I am not using it because it is not required for this simple processor. Okay, so this is the way that I can look into it. So if I design a move instruction in this particular way, then format of the move instruction will be different for load accumulator and store accumulator instruction format. Okay, so when you are going to design a processor, it is not required that all the instruction will have same instruction format. We can have different instruction format also, but we will stick to some general notion and we'll see what are those particular general notion. So these are the instruction that we are going to design. What are the instruction basically we have in a processor, and if you say that whatever instruction we are going to design, it will fall in this particular 4 categories only. So data processing, data storage, it is related to main memory, so transferring from main memory or storing it to the main memory. Then data movement, it is from IO devices, bringing it from IO device to memory, or maybe from input device to processor. Similarly, sending the data from processor to output device, or from memory to output device. And we have some program flow control instruction. This is already I have mentioned, I suppose, when we have discussed about the flag bits or condition codes. We said that we are having some conditional instruction, like if something is greater than something. So with if condition, we are going to design some instructions. So for that, we have to have some instruction in our instruction set. So those instructions will fall under this particular program flow control. Okay. So whatever instruction we are going to design, those instructions will fall any one of this particular category. Okay. Now, how many addresses you are going to give in a particular instruction? So we are having some general notion, but according to our requirement, we are going to freeze how many operands we are going to put. So this is a 3 address format. So in 3 address format, what will happen? We will give reference to 3 defined operands. So what are those operands? So this is operand 1, operand 2, and this is the region. So basically we are having 2 source reference and 1 destination reference. Okay. So it is simple. Basically what will happen? Whatever operation we are going to do, most of them are basically binary operation. Adding 2 numbers. So it is having 2 operand, multiplication of 2 numbers. So we are having 2 operands. So basically number of operands are 2 in most of the cases. So for these 2 operand, we are having 2 reference. We have to give the address of these 2 operand, and we are going to keep our result. So for result also we have to give a reference or address. So this is in 3 address format. We are going to give the address of these 3 values, 2 input operands and 1 result. So maybe this is the way I can say A equal to A plus B. So A equal to B plus C. So this is your, I have to give the address of B and address of C. After that, we will add them together and going to put the result in A. This is the 3 address format, and this is add ABC. Maybe put next instruction, and in general this is your implicit. Already you have mentioned it. So generally it is an implicit one, so we don't specify in general instruction, but some conditional instruction we have to give this particular information also. So generally it is not common because we need a very long word to do the everything or to hold all information, because we have to keep information of 3 operand. So generally we are not going to do it. It is not common, but for specialized operation we may do it. Okay. Now we have seen that it is a very long instruction. We need more number of bits to perform this particular, to use this particular instruction format. So we have come down from 3 address format to 2 address format. So what will happen in the 2 address format? It says that one address doubles as operand and result. So basically you can say that one of the address will indicate source as well as destination. Okay, so it will act as a source as well as destination. So basically here say if it is AB, then what is the meaning? A equal to A plus B. So here A, this variable A or reference A is acting as both source as well as destination. First we are going to take the value of the register A, add them together, and going to put the result in A, which is basically destination. So in this 2 address format, it is basically we are reducing the length, okay, but it requires some extra work. So we may have temporary storage to hold some result. So we are reducing the instruction length, but somewhere we are going to pay for it. We'll see what it says, that it requires some extra work to be done. So that means if we are going to do some extra work, that means to perform the operation or complete the operation, it may require more time. Okay. Now from 3 address format, then again we are coming to the 1 address format. So in 1 address format, what will happen? We are going to give the address of one operand only, and the second operand is implicit. Okay, so we are not going to specify the second operand, and that second operand is basically come from a specific register, and we said this is your accumulator. Okay, in earlier machines, basically people use this particular concept, accumulator based processor, that already we have discussed about that processor now when we look into the program execution. So all machine may not have accumulator, but if we are having a machine with accumulator, you can assume that basically in that particular machine we are using single address format. So in this particular single address format, what will happen? If I go back to this particular example, say if I say that add R0, say R0 is a general purpose register. So basically what it does, you will find that this is nothing but accumulator is equal to accumulator plus R0. That means one of the operand is taking from this particular register accumulator, perform the result and perform the operation, and whatever result we are going to get, again we will put back into this particular register accumulator. So that's why we said that one of the operand, the address of one of the operand is implicit. We are not going to specify it, but always we are going to take it from a particular location, and in general usually it is a register, and we call this register as accumulator. Okay, so this is the single address format. Now when we come to the single address format, again the length of the instruction is further reduced. So these are the 3 options that we have in our hand: single address format, 2 address format, and 3 address format. As a designers, now you have to find out which format you are going to use, and accordingly you have to design your processor. Okay. Now so this is a simple example, you see. Now what will happen? I want to evaluate this particular expression. Okay. Generally when I am going to evaluate this expression, any such type of your arithmetic expression, what will happen? Most of the operators are your binary operators. I can give only 2 values. Okay, so in this particular case, so first operation may come as your A minus B, then second operation may come into your D cross E, Okay, D cross C, then third operation will come as your C plus D cross E, and this is the fourth one where I am going to have A divided by A minus B divided by C plus D into A. So this is A minus B, okay, divided by C plus D cross C. Okay, to have distance, you see now, in the first one we said this is a 3 address format. I can specify the address of all the 3 variables. So first one we are performing these things, y is equal to A minus B, then multiply T is equal to D cross E, then add T equal to T plus C, then diff y is equal to yt. So y will be y divided by 3. So these are the 4 different evaluation that we have to do, and we are doing this particular 4 evaluation, and in 4 step we can do it. Okay, so in 3 address format we are going to have this, but when we are coming to the 2 address format, already we said that we are having a restriction of putting the number of operands, so we may have to do some extra steps over here. So what it does basically, since I am having only 2 operands, so first of all I am going to transfer A to Y. Okay, because in case of, so we are using one move instruction, then with this particular subtraction, now what will happen, it is a 2 operand, one will be act as a source as well as destination. So y is equal to y minus b, we are going to get this effect. That means first expression we have evaluated. To evaluate this first expression, now we need 2 steps. Similarly, you can see that for second expression, when I am going to evaluate the second expression, that we need another 2 steps. Okay, this is the way that we can have. Now we are having the result in T, so add can be done in 1 step and diff can be done in 1 step. So total 6 different steps it requires. So we say that now we have to do some extra work, and to perform this particular 6 different operation, this is the machine level operation that we have, so it will take more time. So now as a designer, you just see what you have done. You are trying to reduce the size of the instruction. Okay, it will help you to have a simplified design because we have to handle with less number of bits, but during execution we are going to take more time. Okay, so this depends on efficiency and cost, because for complex system you have to incur more cost because you need more silicon space. Now when we come down to this one at this format, then you will find that again we need more number of instructions. So here we are going to have total 8 instructions. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again 2 more machine level instruction is required. Now we have to execute 8 machine level instruction when we go to 1 at this format. That means the efficiency is again reducing. It will be slower one. Okay, why I am saying this slower one? Because to evaluate this particular expression, 3 address format took only 4 machine level instruction. 2 address format required 6 machine level instruction, but 1 address format requires 8 machine level instruction. That means we have to execute 8 machine instruction. Okay, now I think you got it. Now you have to, as a designers, you have to see where you are going to compromise, whether you are going to compromise on speed or you are going to compromise on cost. Okay, this is the way that you have to always look into. Now along with that we are having another format which is basically zero address format. Okay, here when you go to the zero address format, it is basically all addresses are implicit. Along with the operation, we are not going to give any reference to any operands. Then where from we are going to get the operands? Basically it is implicit address, and basically what will happen if you are going to use this particular format, zero address format, you have to use the stack data structure. So what does it means? You know what is a stack data structure, and you know the property this is your last in first out. Okay, so that property we are going to use, and we need not to specify any address where we are going to do it. So if this is an element A, if we are going to push it, then what will happen? I know that this is my stack. So in the top of the stack, I am going to put A. If I say that push B, then what will happen? That B will be pushed over here. Okay, these are data basically. Then if I add it now, what it does, it pop out the first one, then it will pop out the second one. I am going to get, this is B, this is A, then I am going to get the result C. So after performing this particular result, it implicitly it is going to push into the top of the stack. Okay, so this is the way we can say that C is equal to A plus B, and C will be pushed. Now after completion of these things, now what will happen? We are going to result in this particular top of the stack, and when I am going to pop it out, then I am going to get the result with me. Okay, so this is the way we can think about, but currently we are not using this particular zero address format. Okay, this is a concept. If you have a very want to design some very simple processor, now you can look into this particular way also. Okay, so these are the different format that we are having. Now what will happen now? How many addresses that we are going to keep? Already we have discussed all those things, all the issues, and we know now if we are having more number of addresses, we are going to get a complex design, but it may happen that we are going to get an faster responses. Okay, if we are going for a pure addresses, whether it is less complex or it is more powerful or less powerful, all those issues will come into picture. Then you need more number of instruction per program, because already we have seen with an example. So as a designer, now you have to look into those particular issues, and accordingly you have to freeze it. Depending on your requirement, you are going to say how many addresses or how many references you are going to keep in an instruction, and accordingly you have to design your processor. You have to give the meaning to the instruction, then go for the designing of the processor. So these are basically design decision. When we are going to design a processor, you have to freeze these issues, that how many addresses you are going to keep, and accordingly you have to design it. So if you say a single address format, basically it means that you are going to look for an accumulator based processor. There will be dedicated registers which will be termed as my accumulator. Okay, so this is your design decision. Designers are going to take a decision on it, and accordingly he will proceed further to design his processor. So another design decision is like that, what will be our operation repertoire, or what is the instruction set, how many operations that we are going to implement in our machine, and we are having this particular operation. Okay, then what can they do, what are the purpose of those particular operation, okay, and how we are going to perform those particular operation, or how complex are they. So as a designer, you have to identify these issues, and accordingly you design your instruction set and say what kind of operation that you are going to keep in our processor. So this is design decision. Before going to design your processor, you have to freeze these particular issues. Then data types. What kind of data types that you are going to allow? Whether you allow only integer type, or you are going to design your processor so that it can work on floating point numbers also, on real numbers. So accordingly you have to design it, because addition of integers may be different from addition of your real numbers or floating point numbers. Okay, along with that you have to freeze that instruction format. Already I have mentioned. No, first you are going to find out what are the instruction set, how many instructions you are going to keep in your processor, and what are the data types, on which data type those operations are going to work, and after that you will come for the format. What is the instruction format that you are going to keep? That means what will be the length of your opcode field, how many number of addresses you are going to give, all those issues has to be resolved. Okay. Then another one, already I have mentioned that design decision, this is your registers, how many registers that you are going to keep in our processor. Okay, already I have mentioned that if in this particular example, say if I am having 3 registers, say accumulator, R0 and R1, to identify those registers, already I said that I need 2 bit of information. No, maybe these are the 3 different possible combination of bit pattern, and we say this is the binary encoding of these 3 registers. So now if you are going to use more number of registers, then we need more bit to identify those particular registers. Okay, this is the one issue. So as a designer, you have to identify how many registers or how many registers will be optimal to have an efficient implementation of your processor. Okay, it is not like that if you are going to keep more number of registers, you are going to get a better performance. It may not be true always, because in that particular case, some of the register may not be used. Okay, so this is another design decision, and you have to identify it. And what are the operation that you are going to perform on this particular register. Okay, this is the decision you have to take. And finally, another one, we are talking about addressing modes. So we'll discuss this addressing modes, but we can say that how we are going to give the address of the operand. We are having defined way to give it, and we say these are the addressing modes. Okay, so we have to give the address or reference of those particular operand, and several ways we can give it. Okay, so we'll say these are the addressing modes, and we'll see, or we are going to discuss about that addressing mode also. What are the different addressing mode that we can have. Okay, so these are the issues, design issues that we have, and as a designer we have to implement it. Okay, now with this I'll stop here today, but here I want to introduce 2 terms. In case of computer, I can say that this is your computer architecture. This is the course of computer architecture. But if we simply talk about a computer architecture, then you won't get a complete idea how we are going to design a computer or how we are going to design a processor. So for that, we are having another term which is basically computer organization. If we have idea on both those issues, then only we can say or we can discuss about the designing of a new processor. Now some of the issues we are going to resolve in the as an architecture point of view, and some of the issues we are going to discuss about as an organization of the processor. Okay, now what will happen in case of architecture? Basically, what are the issues basically fall under this architecture? We can simply give the idea like that. This is basically designing of the instruction. Basically, you can say what are the different operations that we are going to perform with this particular machine. Okay, so basically this is the instruction set. Secondly, what is the format of those particular instructions? How we are going to interpret those particular bit patterns. So if we are giving say n different instruction, okay, so in a simple case, to represent n defined unique instruction, at least I need how many bit? Okay, you will find that I need log to n bit. Now how I am going to organize those particular bit? This may be fall under the instruction format, and after that, what are the tasks that we are going to perform in each and every instruction? Okay, that already I have mentioned about these things. LDAM. Basically, what we did, we transfer the information from a memory location. The address is given by M to accumulator. So like that, for each and every instruction, we have to give the meaning, proper meaning. So these are the issues that we are generally take care in this. We take care in computer architecture, and we said these are the architectural issue. But in case of computer organization, basically we are going to say in what way we are going to place those particular components, required components. Maybe one organization may be like that. I said that to transfer the information, we need a interconnection network inside the processor itself, and we have talked about one kind of organization or internal bus, Okay, one kind of data transfer network interconnect. What we said, this is the internal bus bar. So through that internal bus, we are going to transfer information from one point to the other point. So these are the organizational issue. Secondly, if we are having say going to implement some operation like addition is there. Okay, for addition, what will happen? You can use ripple carry adder or you can use carry located adder. But you know the differences, no? If it is a ripple carry adder, then what will happen? Performance will be low because it takes more time. It depends on the number of bits. But if you are going to use carry located adder, then what will happen? It can slightly improve the performance because it needs constant amount of time which is independent of the number of bits. Okay. Similarly, say you can have a multiplication operation. Now, what we can do, we can implement this multiplication operation in hardware itself. Okay, because we know we are having some multiplication algorithm, those algorithms can be implemented in hardware. Or secondly, you can think that, okay, since performance is not that important for the processor that I am going to design. So for that, I am going to use this particular same hardware adder that is available in my processor. Now, how multiplication can be implemented? I'll have a small software routine where I am going to use multiplication by repeated addition. So if I am going to say multiply 5 into 4, then what will happen? I can add 5 4 times. No, basically my effect will be 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 4. This is the way I can implement it. So I am not going to put any hardware component for multiplication, but I am going to use this same adder available in my processor to implement a multiplication. So if we are going to take those particular decisions, basically this will come under this particular organization. Okay. So in this particular course, we are going to discuss basically both issues related to both computer architecture and organization. So with this, today I'll stop my lecture. Tomorrow again, maybe in next lecture, we are going to continue with this instruction format and we may look into the addressing modes. Thank you very much.